Hey y'all, it's Queen Keiani and I'm here with 8407 and today we're here to talk about all things me, music, and creativity. Let's go. So I was born and raised in Huntsville, Alabama. Growing up, my household was very strict as far as religion goes, so we listened to a lot of gospel music. So a lot of my earlier years was me listening to gospel music or singing in the church choir. So my dad was a barber, and every now and then my brother and I would go and spend the day at the barber shop with him. And I remember one time I was at the barber shop and an Outkast video came on, because I used to keep it on BET. And I was just enamored by what I was seeing. It was the first time I ever heard rap in my life. I had to be like maybe 7 years old, and it was I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. It was that music video, and I just remember being like, wow, like these niggas are spitting. I didn't say it like that. I was 7, but like it was really cool. And then fast forward to about the second time I heard like secular music for the first time. I was in middle school. I was at my dad's house and they had it on BET. Y'all remember the top 10 countdown on 106 & Park. And Jesus Walks by Kanye West was the #1 video. And that was the first time I've seen somebody like rap and talk about God. And I felt like, oh, okay, I can do both. Like, and also it was just really dope. And I really resonated with some of the things that Kanye was talking about. And really my love for music just kind of spiraled from there. So poetry was something I was falling in love with simultaneously with music. And it kind of happened on accident, and it really happened through song lyrics. At a very early age, I remember writing down song lyrics and kind of examining my favorite lines and not even realizing that what I was doing was pulling out literary devices, things that rhyme, things that had alliteration, similes, metaphors. I was highlighting those in my diary. And I had a project in 7th grade where we had to create our own book of poetry. And it was very like cliche things, acrostic poems and little name poems and things like that, but I really fell in love with that process of just writing and putting my words together. And so poetry became a part of my creative identity very soon after music did.
I've been meditating, spent all night levitating. Can't sleep, I'm medicated. Crime real, I'm animated. Can't tell if I'm in a dream. I can't feel anything. I just need God to speak. I'm too high, yeah. I'm too high, think I'm crossfaded.
So in 6th grade, I started band. I was in beginning band and I started on clarinet. I wanted to do saxophone, but somebody in my family had a clarinet. My mom was like, "You're gonna play this clarinet." And so I really sucked at first. And then we used to have chair placements, and I did like a chair competition for my chair placement, and I got dead last. And I remember how terrible that felt, and I was like, I never want to feel this shit again. It was horrible. So what ended up happening was the next time we had our chair placements, I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and I got first chair, and I was in first chair from then on. And in my 7th grade year, my band director wanted to put me on a different instrument. It was the E-flat contra alto bass clarinet. Long name, big instrument. It's like a bass version of a clarinet, and I went on to play that and make all state and all district in my city and in my state, and it was a great experience. All throughout high school I did that, and then when I went to college I ended up majoring in music, but I went back to the B-flat bass clarinet, and that is where I got my first degree in performance. So when I was young, I remember I called my dad once because I was a big fan of Lil Romeo. And Romeo and his father were performing on the Kids' Choice Awards on Nickelodeon. And I remember calling my dad and being like, I want that to be us one day. Like, I want to be on stage and I want to perform with you. And I knew I wanted to sing, but I wasn't the best singer. I knew I wanted to rap.
We going to war today, for sure today. Besides what the pastor say, I have to say, since Black Mamba passed away, most you niggas don't even deserve a poem from me. You see, I don't care if you blame Kobe or Kobe. We ain't still wearing chains if you ain't noticed. They threw us in sun. We just get more golden, they killing our sons. The system is broken, cause all the system and entities was built on the premise that niggas will always be in chains and whips, but that ain't in the prophecy. See, I was taught to be a queen, what guided me. Hold up.
And I just always felt like I could do it. I don't know, I always saw myself on a stage. And so the first time I actually touched the stage though was when I was in college. I did a poetry slam. I did really well. I did some of my original poetry, and I really just fell in love with that feeling of just being on stage and connecting with an audience. That moment is something I'll never forget. Fast forward to now, you know, I do get to perform around my city in various different things, but music, doing the music part of it is very new for me. So I'm still sharpening that craft. Last March, I released my first EP, which is something I'm very proud of. It was called While the World Sleeps, and I produced about 4 songs on there. It was a very cool experience, and it kind of really challenged me. 1, because I was producing for myself, and then 2, it was my first time releasing music into the world, and I was really, really scared because I didn't know how it was going to be received. And it wasn't actually the first time I've done music. I have songs that I've produced over 10 years ago, both produced and sang on, and While the World Sleeps was the first set of music I actually gave to the world. It's not perfect, but it is mine and it's real, so I'm proud of it. So I got into production kind of on accident, but it was also like divine timing. So I started working at a school called the Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering. They hired me on to be their music instructor. And initially I was just going to be the band director because by career, I'm a band director. But then when they hired me on, they were like, hey, we surveyed our students and they're really interested in music technology. Can you teach that? And I was like, I'm willing to try. And so they sent me to some professional development training, and through that I was able to learn how to produce. It is something I've literally always wanted to do, but I think I just felt there was a barrier. For 1, you know, I didn't have the equipment, which is expensive, and for 2, I didn't really know where to find that knowledge at, because I am also a hands-on learner. Like I can look on YouTube and learn, but I wanted to be able to sit with somebody and someone show me how to do things. And that opportunity really fell into my lap, and I just took it and ran with it and have built a whole nother creative career off of it. So the funny thing about me teaching music technology was I knew nothing. I literally started at 0, and I started my professional development a month before I started teaching the classes. So I really was learning as I was teaching, and then it got to a point where my students knew more than me, and so they were teaching me, and then I was teaching them, and so it was a really beautiful exchange of creative energy, and I will always cherish that time with them, for sure. So some of my influences, definitely early on was Kanye West. First of all, for production, I was always impressed that he produced, and he became a producer first. And then when he wanted to be an artist, people was kind of like, no, you know, they kind of sunned him a little bit. That trope just has always just enamored me and inspired me. And then to see him become such an amazing influence in hip hop was just very inspiring. So yeah, I've always loved the sample style of production, how he's sampled from something and flipped it completely on its head and turned it into something that was so soulful. J. Cole at a certain point was another influence for me for the same reasons. And I really loved Friday Night Lights specifically from J. Cole. I felt like that era was peak. More influences, Janelle Monáe, more from an aesthetic. I really loved the black and white aesthetic that she gave over the years, and also the vocals, crazy. Also her visuals, absolutely amazing. One thing I do wish had more light in the space is just women in general. I think anytime you are in a male-dominated field, it's going to feel like women are the minority, of course, but that they're just not here. But there are women producers. Like, we're here. There's a lot of women who play instruments. And I think it's just a matter of creating spaces for women to be, to evolve, to collaborate. And so, yeah, that's very important to me. Some local producers that I love, Q Cole has been a huge mentor to me in my creative journey. I also did take some professional development at Maitland Conservatory for a while. Mally is another big influence for me and mentor. And then also there's a girl in Birmingham, she's from Birmingham, Alabama, named Jasmine Garfield. And very early on, Jasmine was one of the first woman producers that I met when I was an undergrad. And she's just very inspiring. She plays guitar, she makes beats. She's not low-key with it, but she is definitely present and thriving in the production world. So up until this point, I have shamefully been a perfectionist. I don't wear that proudly. I think being a perfectionist is cowardly for myself. And so what I'm learning is to just do and just be with the mistakes, with being a beginner at something. Like, it's okay to be a beginner at something. So with that being said, I am allowing myself to take on this production as a creative identity. And I really want to thank my sister Aria for that, because she really trusted me with her first single, Dore, that we produced. I produced it, back in 2024. And it was her first song, and it was also the first song I produced for another artist. I was terrified, I was scared, but she trusted me, and she continues to believe in me, so much so that I'm producing her first EP, which will be out this year in 2026, and I'm really excited about it. To have somebody believe in you and see something in you that you don't see in yourself is truly gold. And I really, really thank her for that. And so throughout this year, I really want to collaborate with more artists. I want to also produce more for myself, but I just want to take that identity on and wear it proudly as a woman producer. So we'll see how that turns out.
Peace, family. What's going on? It's your girl, the one and only Aria Alicia, better known as Ascension. Checking in with 8407. And my experience so far with my sister creatively has just been such a beautiful journey to watch, because we have built and developed such a great friendship prior to working together creatively. And now we're seeing each other in a whole different light. And we're just working together and creating so many beautiful things. I've watched Keiani's journey over the past 5 years now, just blossom to what it's known to be now. And she's, doing her thing with production. She's working on my very first EP, Mystique Hues, which will be out in 2026. Y'all stay tuned. I'm very excited to continue watching her creative journey flourish into what it is becoming now. I love you so much, sis. Mwah.